All right. Well, we have a guest in the studio, and her name is Dikla. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So, you contacted me about something called salt rooms. Is that what it is?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us all about it. How do you get into something like this? First, tell us what it is.
Okay. A salt room is a room where the walls, the ceiling, and the floor, everything is covered in layers and layers of salt. And then there's also a machine that grinds the salt into very fine particles and disperses it into the air during the 45-minute session that people sit in there. Now,
So you actually breathe the salt.
That's exactly what you do. You breathe
Really?
in the really tiny particles of salt. It goes into your lungs, and it's amazing for people with respiratory problems. So
Really?
sinusitis, infections, asthma is a huge one, bronchitis. There's a whole list of different problems that
That
people
makes
suffer
actually, as you're saying, it makes a lot of sense because I know like Dr. Oz on Oprah has always, he's come out with, just different things and ways to clean nasal passages with salt, and how salt is such a good natural antibiotic or cleansing agent, and so it makes kind of sense.
It makes perfect sense. People have told me that it's been on Dr. Oz, different saline inhalers, and they've been using salt in that way for people with respiratory problems for a while. This is just taking it to a different level. You're sitting in a room, so the air is permeated and you're breathing it in.
Really?
It came from Europe, actually, but we read an article about it in Israel. 2 years ago, we read a magazine article about a mother who had 2 children that she was in and out of the emergency room with them because they would stop breathing. They had all kinds of problems. And she started doing research for alternative things because she didn't want to put her children through all kinds of surgeries. A lot of people with respiratory problems have multiple surgeries on their noses and on their... So she didn't want to do that yet.
Right.
And she found this one salt room that existed in Israel. And it was amazing for their kids.
Really?
It changed their lives. She built a salt room in her house.
Really?
Not a cheap thing,
Yeah.
but it was so important for her kids' health that she built one. And ever since then, it's blown up in Israel. There's one in
Really?
every city now.
Wow.
Really? A
Yeah.
salt room. And so, Tori, what are some other great reasons for a salt room?
Skin problems also. A lot of people know about the Dead Sea in Israel. They go for psoriasis and eczema. So it's great for skin and just general skin. I mean, salt has an incredible amount of minerals, especially the salt that we use that does come from the Dead Sea. So it's great for your skin. It's also just a natural de-stressor and a relaxer. The negative ions that salt releases is excellent for calming down, relaxing. You're in a room where there's absolutely no pollutants. The negative ions neutralizes anything harmful in the air. So for 45 minutes, you're sitting in a room where your body's not fighting all the toxins that we have here in LA and in every city. I mean, LA is the most polluted city still, even though we've improved the air over the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's still the number one on the list in the country. So you're breathing in a lot of different toxins. So for 45 minutes, you're sitting there and your body's resting, which is amazing for your immune system.
Yeah. So now all the walls and the ceiling and the floor are all filled with salt.
Covered with layers of salt.
Really?
It's a beautiful room. It's
Really?
sparkling white. We've got beautiful lighting in there, music. So it's a very relaxing.
So do you sit on like a salt bench or?
You sit on a lounge chair, and we have a kids' room where the salt on the floor is the consistency of sand. So they just sit there and play. So it's great for their skin. They don't even know they're being treated. They're just playing, which for a lot of kids, it's a huge savior for their parents. I mean, imagine a 4-year-old with asthma that you have to keep giving him an inhaler. There's a technique on how to breathe, and they often have trouble catching on to that. Or people have, like I said, surgeries, or they have shots of steroids. I mean, it's pretty bad for children, and a lot of children suffer from respiratory problems here in Los Angeles.
Wow,
a lot.
so interesting.
So you think that's from the pollution?
It is, absolutely.
Really?
There's been studies that Los Angeles and Long Beach, children who live within 10 miles of a freeway, and who are you kidding? It's LA. Everybody lives within 10 miles of a freeway.
Right.
Yeah.
The kids have a much, much higher rate of asthma than the rest of the country.
Really?
It's something like 1 in 3 children have some sort of respiratory problem
Yeah.
in those areas. Yeah.
So the 45 minutes in the salt room, what is that? Just, hey, 45 minutes to take a time out, or does it do some kind of holistic healing that is like kind of as they leave, there's a continued regeneration of something, or?
No, there actually is a physical change in the people. One session does not do the trick. It's sort of taking like the first pill of an antibiotic. You really have to go through the whole series of treatments, which according to all the clinical research that has been done in Europe is 15 sessions. So what the salt does is it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So it reduces a lot of the inflammation that people have in the tissue in their lungs, which for a lot of breathing problems, that's part of the problem. You're completely constricted, so the air is not able to go through.
Right.
The other thing that it does is it's an antibacterial. In the Dead Sea, it's called the Dead Sea because no animals can live there, no bacteria even. So it kills a lot of the bacteria that people have built up in their systems, and it thins out mucus. So people are able to cough it out and get some of the gunk that's blocking up their breathing passages out. We completely believed in this thing. We spent a year researching it, and then another almost a year building it, and you know, we're making a difference in people's lives, and it's so wonderful to see people walk out with their kids feeling better. They walk in and they're completely congested and they can barely breathe, and they walk out and they're running around, and they can go to the park and their parents are not running around after them with an inhaler. So it's really nice. It's on the one hand it's a business, but it's something that we're proud of doing. We're not just selling, you know, I don't know, clothing.
It's not just bullshit and stuff. I mean, you know that it works.
So 15 sessions, is that like then a permanent solution, or is it?
The results last 6 months to a year. It doesn't cure anything, and people who have respiratory problems, it's chronic problems, which means that their bodies are not doing what they're supposed to properly. But with the salt rooms, you can reduce medicine, you can live better, you can feel better, and then you just repeat the treatment maybe twice a year.
That sounds really great then. So it's like it's kind of like 2 times a year to kind of help the problem and alleviate it, and as opposed to like every day having to take an inhaler.
Or pills, allergy pills. It's also great for allergies.
Oh, that's
so give out the website so people can look while we're talking about this.
Our place is called Salt Chalet, and the website is saltchalet.com. And we're located in Encino, right on Ventura Boulevard.
Which is not too far from here.
Yeah,
I'm going to check it out. I mean, that sounds pretty good. So how big is the room when you go in?
We have 3 rooms. The adult room can fit up to 6 people. So you can be in there on your own if you want to be. You can schedule a time, or you know, we could put multiple people in there, and people make friends.
Yeah,
compare problems. And the children's room is quite large. You could fit like 10 to 12 children. We have games in there. And
do you feel that you're inhaling salt?
Some people, if they're very sensitive, can feel a little bit of a tickle, but it's such a fine mist that you can barely even see it. So you might taste a little bit of it on your lips. Or on your fingertips, but you don't really feel. It's not a cloud. It's not like a sauna where you're seeing billows of salt. It's very thin, but it's a very aggressive treatment.
Right. So it's okay to inhale it. I mean, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, very.
How long have you had this now?
We've been open since November.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's still rather new and stuff.
It's still rather new.
So, I mean, I would imagine it takes a while to convince people of this and to inform them so they know what this is about.
Absolutely. It takes educating people because it is something new here in the United States. It's existed in Europe for 40, 50 years.
Oh, really?
Where people go into actual salt mines there. It was discovered in Europe, in Poland, in Estonia, and Ukraine. They have these huge salt mines, and people go and sit inside the actual salt mines. Now, it's obviously not convenient and not the safest. You're going underground.
Right.
But then they started to recreate the salt rooms, man-made salt rooms. So it's existed for a while, but here in America, where people are a little skeptical of things that are holistic and natural, and because it's not covered under health insurance, then it takes a little bit of time to educate people and to convince them that this really works. It doesn't need to come, things don't need to come in a pill bottle in order for them to be effective. And actually we're getting a lot of people that are saying, I'm sick of prescriptions. I'm sick of filling it. I don't want to fill my body full of unnatural things and up the dosage because your body becomes immune to them. So we're getting, you know, a variety of people, young people, older people, really the whole spectrum.
How's business going as far as getting the word out? And it's a new concept for the U.S. and
business is going great, actually. We've had a few articles on us in Tribe magazine, which is a publication of the Jewish Journal that goes out to the Valley. So a lot of people have read the article in there. Channel 9 News did a segment on us before we even opened, like a couple of weeks before we opened. They got word about us, and they came out and did a segment. So people have seen us. Channel 7 just did a segment, not on us, on a salt room in Florida.
Really?
But they're a local channel, so people have been calling us. So as soon as people hear about it, they're very, very excited.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting the word out there and letting people know that we exist.
Yeah.
So cool.
And it's saltchalet.com, right?
Yep.
And